Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the SlabStox and 1:37 p.m. market report for April 2023. My name is Lou. I am joined, as always, by my dear friend Aaron from SlabStox. Aaron, say hello to the people. Tell them what you've been up to.
What's up, everyone? Quite busy, as always, was just in Toronto the other week for the Expo. Lots of hockey cards there amidst the hockey playoffs right now. Leafs went down 0-2 at home yesterday, which is tough seeing the Florida Panthers after they eliminated the Bruins. So lots of head hunting from the Panthers right now, that's for sure.
Do you think that's kind of expected? I feel like did the Bruins just play really bad in that series? How did that go?
Well, I didn't watch every single game, but they were up 3-1, and then the Panthers just clawed their way back, and the Bruins were basically 1 minute from advancing. They gave up a goal with 1 minute left in the third period in Game 7 at home, and then in OT anything can happen. Next goal wins, and Panthers got it.
Crazy, man.
It's
Hockey
wild. I mean,
playoffs.
Bruins, best team of all time regular season from a points and record standpoint. But we'll get into that in this market report. But happy to be back for sure.
Happy to be back. What about your coach getting fired?
Oh man, I feel really bad for that guy. I don't know if you heard about his brother dying mid-series.
No, that's horrible.
Yeah.
And then they fired him.
So his brother died before Game 4 in a car crash, and no one knew that at the time. This came out after we got eliminated to the Heat, and after the last game, I was so upset, obviously from getting eliminated. But there was multiple clear things that should have been done. Timeout before regulation ended. Timeout when it was the last possession. We had two of them at that point. So I was like, how in the world can a coach not call timeouts there? But I'm like, well, if I was at my job and my brother died, would I be performing as I'd expect? And there's no way, So I get why that stuff happens. And I mean, I'm not necessarily shocked he's fired because he wasn't really a great coach prior to that. I think Giannis carried him to the title in 2021. Seemed like a really nice guy, but I think we need more. We need more.
You need something to get you over the hump.
What do you say?
You need something to get you over the hump a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. We should have won the finals this year with this roster, no doubt.
That's crazy. Wow, that's so horrible.
I know,
all right,
it's not
switching
good.
gears. Yeah. We'll just pull up the report. All right, April 2023 market report.
Yeah.
5 main takes. Aaron, I'm gonna let you take it away as always.
Yeah, for sure. So we got look at each sport here with baseball, football, and basketball, and then some hockey for the playoffs. And then we got a fun thing to talk about with the SX100 refresh at the end. Our Daily Slab audience, our newsletter, made the calls on who is in, who is out. And we'll talk about that. This was the first update to the SlabStox 100 index. But I just want to get started right away with Bowman baseball. Just asked Lou right before the stream, Lou, how much have you done with Bowman baseball? And he said nothing. So here we are talking about Bowman baseball. This guy doesn't even begin to understand in the first place.
Couldn't be less aware of what we were saying is I'm always into Bowman baseball, but it's hard for me to get focused on it when I don't know who the Bowman firsts are. And unless you have the SlabStox cheat sheet, it's really difficult to track down that information, which makes it less interesting.
Yeah, and our guy SlabStox Nate put together a cheat sheet for this release, looking at I think it was 26 different prospects. Breaking them down a little bit, they all had their first autograph in this release, and it's a really good resource. And you can sign up at slabstox.com to get that daily slab to see that cheat sheet. It's still going out to our newsletter subscribers today. But if you look at this write up we have in this specific market report, Nate was this, and this came from Nate. Nate ripped 26 boxes, is just over 3 cases of jumbo hobby on release day.
What was the best pull?
Dude, so he pulled Drew Jones Gold Refractor Auto True Gold in the first case within the first 4 boxes. Second case, he pulls a Drew Jones Gold Shimmer Auto back-to-back cases. Third case, he pulls, actually might have been the same as the second one. I don't remember, but Junior Caminero Gold Refractor Auto at 50. I think it might have been in the same case as the Drew Jones.
3 golds?
Yeah, within 2 to 3 cases. But Caminero is one of the best prospects in the set outside Drew Jones. And then also hit a Josue, I think his name is De Paula, the Dodgers prospect, refractor auto, which is a pretty solid hit. But yeah, he hit some nice stuff, no doubt about it. Those videos are hilarious on Instagram that we posted. But he broke down the set for us, which is really cool at a first-hand look, because Nate's been Lou, a Bowman fan for a while. Nate always would rip a Bowman box every single year for a long time now. And the biggest gripe in the last 2 years of set, if you scroll up here really quick, is the quality of the cards. And the last couple of years of surfaces, there's a lot of surface marks on a lot of these cards. As he points out, print line, surface scratches to blatant miscuts potentially. And then, this year I know I actually ripped a Bowman jumbo case too. Mine was not nearly as good as any of the things he ripped. And, but the quality was quite solid. A lot of the cards very centered autograph wise. The surfaces were much cleaner than in the years past. The cards felt like that they're very high quality, which is nice for autographs and Bowman. Didn't feel like that they weren't high quality. So like I think they actually focused a lot to fix that, which is great. And it's great to see manufacturers taking steps to fix problems.
That's a pretty big update, I would say. I think that's been a concern for years.
Yeah, I know. I agree.
2 or 3 years at this point.
Well, you remember some of those Prism releases we looked at, like Jamar Chase's corner was missing on the gold Prism and stuff.
That's great. Have you seen that from other people as well? Like I said, I haven't really tuned in.
So I know that SGC did the release or the day before release break with Leighton Sports Cards where they live on site graded a bunch of the cards. And I know a lot of the cards they were talking about the surfaces were very clean on. That what would maybe make them not a 9.5 or a 10 would be some of the cards maybe a little bit off centered, maybe a corner ding or two on some of the cards as well. But like for it to be one or a few out of hundreds of autographs is pretty low odds compared to some of these past Prism releases, and even like we're talking about Bowman Chrome releases, like 50%. Like you don't want to see 50% of them having quality issues. Like that's not good.
Well, there was a time period there. I want to say it was like 2021 where if you were getting 9s, you were pumped.
I would have to agree. There was a lot of fast printing, I think, in a short amount of time from multiple manufacturers trying to get these delayed releases out that really affected the quality. So it looks like that this release was really taking the time on, which is awesome to see. And speaking of how this release has changed, there's some new parallels. And every single year, it doesn't really matter what set is, what manufacturer, always going to find new parallels now. And,
green grass.
Okay, so first off, I was not a fan of the green grass when I heard of it. Like green grass, like what is that, dude? Scroll down. This thing looks sick. This is the green grass right there. Yeah,
I mean that is kind of fire, but it's a little silly. I love it though.
No, so I got a SlabStox Nate quote on. He goes, "The way they made every blade of grass pop gave the card a depth feel that most cards don't have." He says it reminds me of outfield grass where I spent quite a bit of time as a kid, which is a
Nathan.
Yeah, Nate was loving the green grass.
Creative.
I know, right? He's a little creative writer himself, but they also came out with blue lunar. So there's like kind of like a
moon surface, right?
What?
It looks like the moon surface.
Yeah. So like there's like this like moon feel behind this set where they had the blue lunar craters.
Wow.
They had the aqua lunar crater. They had the lunar like short print one per box. So there was kind of like this different kind of theme to this set where there was this like moon sort of feel to it. And I think that they're okay. Like they're fine. Like I'm not like I hate them or I like them. They're definitely different, and you can still find the true colors and all these things. Like the blue refractor autos and such like that. I pulled a blue auto of one guy, a blue crater of the other. It looks kind of funny, but
listen, like we've always said, if you're they need to print more cards, right? They got to put more hits, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you're gonna do it in a fun, different kind of way. Don't give me the same old, different kind of color variations. Give me green grass and the surface of the moon.
Yeah, you don't want to see like another blue wave out of 150.
Yeah, blue refractor wave, fuchsia something. It's like, give me the moon.
I want the moon.
I want the moon.
I love it. And then also, I don't know if you heard about this year, but there was in hobby cases, it was like one in every, the rumor was like 20 hobby cases or 10 hobby cases. There would be inside the case. It's not like a box. I think it's inside the case, a pearl pack where you get 4 cards. All 4 cards are numbered out of 10. One of the cards is an autograph out of 10. The other 3 are non-autos out of 10.
Wow.
So in my opinion, the pearl cards, they don't look that awesome. I think that they could have made them a little bit better, like the green grass over there. But it's kind of like it's almost like, sepia cards look with the entire of the player, all of it turns into this like other kind of shade. It's kind of like a pearl shade. But yeah, I guess that was a cool chase for people. It's an extra bonus, I'd say, like more content for, I would say, same or less price compared to last year. So that's cool. Like
how are breaks happening with that? Is it just you go to when you open the pack, like whatever player it is, they get it?
So yeah, I'm sure that like if it's in the case, oh great guys, we got a pearl pack. Now it just goes to the team, whoever's got the teams. Now if you're opening up a case and it's like we're doing like personal boxes,
that's what I'm saying.
I don't know what people do. We only did jumbo cases and we did them all pick your team anyways. So I'm not exactly sure. on
You're
how they
better
would
off just
do
doing
that.
pick your teams, probably.
Yeah, I mean that's safer for sure. I guess was it? Do you sell the pearl pack? Do you I don't know what you do.
That's what I'm saying.
Um, yeah, I did not run into that situation. And then we got a little bit of info here on the collation. I'll make sure I say that right. Not collation of the product, where it has to do with how the hit rates are in there, how the players come out. We did kind of find in the cases that we hit Drew Jones along with another guy, or Drew Jones, like it felt like that there was certain waves of maybe how the autographs are coming out. I can't say for a fact on that, just from what I was watching. There was barely any good Reds cards, is my point. We hit good Drew Jones cards and good Dodgers cards, but there's no good Reds cards. So I'm imagining if there's good Red cards, there might be not good Drew Jones cards, because Cam Collier is one of the bigger prospects to find next to Drew Jones. Color autos so I don't know if you heard about this, Lou. You probably didn't, but Nate ripped 26 boxes. Only one of those boxes had 2 base autos and a different auto. Almost all of them had a color, another color, a color or refractor auto, and then a base auto. Just one base auto per jumbo, which is a big improvement. In my mind in the past, I remember, you could hit 2 base autos out of a jumbo, and then you're hoping you get something better than a refractor auto. But in this scenario, for all these boxes we were ripping, color, refractor, base, or color, base, that's pretty good value in my opinion. However, the low number of colors hard to hit. We didn't hit any auto less than out of 50, and that's including my case too, because I didn't hit one, and then Nate hit 1 red lob out of 5. So number out of 50 or less is tough to hit. Although I have to say, I think in jumbo you can't hit orange autos, so we would have had to hit a red auto pretty much to get something lower than numbered out of 50. I think orange autos are exclusive to hobby, so that one auto per box, they give you a little nugget, oh well, if I'm only getting one auto, at least I can get an orange auto, maybe, although they're rare.
That's interesting. That is so much data. I love Bowman so much. The randomness and the idea that there's only orange autos in regular hobby boxes is very funny to me. So wait, so you're telling me that previously, sorry, that might have went over my head a little bit because I'm kind of dumb. Previously, in a jumbo, there's 3 autos, correct?
Yeah, there's 3 autos this year. Yeah.
Okay, so previously you were getting a lot of base, maybe color, base sometimes.
Yeah, so to be fair, I didn't rip a lot of Bowman over the last couple of years. It was mostly I was ripping Bowman back in 2016. But from my experience, I do feel like that there's more scenarios to where you would get a base, a color, a base, or a refractor. And I know Nate made kind of a big point to me. Nate's much more on top of this than me in the Bowman, where it's there was only one box that had 2 base autos and then a refractor, or it might have been a color auto with it.
And does he think that was coincidental, or he thinks that's how they're setting it up?
I think he thinks that it's intentional to give people more value for what they're buying.
That'd be great.
I mean, if that's the case, then awesome, So either way, I think the fact that that's there is good value for the set. And then moving on quickly, because we got some other sections to cover. But yeah, there are some pretty high sales from the set. Collier or gold auto at 50, 23, 25. Drew Jones yellow, although it kind of looks gold. That's yellow at 75 to 2,500. But then Spencer Jones of the Yankees. I know how much you love the Yankees, Lou. That Spencer Jones guy, dude, the hype is unreal. He actually might be. I know he's not going to be below Drew Jones probably in sales, but the next closest to Drew Jones, 3,500 for a redemption gold auto of this guy. He's got I don't know if you heard about it. Do you know anything about Spencer Jones?
I know a little bit about him. He's the new Yankee prospect.
Yeah.
That's what I know him as.
So, but he's also 6'6". He also has massive power, and he's also very fast.
Is he an outfielder too?
I think he might be an outfielder.
Oh, so just Judge reincarnated is what
basically, dude. So Corbin Carroll has the fastest.
Even sounds like Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge and Spencer Jones is pretty much the same name.
Yeah, I think the same person. So Corbin Carroll, obviously, yes. He has the fastest first to third time in the majors. I think it's 10.3 seconds or 10.5 seconds. Spencer Jones was a 100th of a second off from Corbin Carroll, and Spencer Jones is a 6'7" outfielder. The guy's strides are insanely long. So let's see how far the hype goes. I'm sure it'll go pretty far as he gets close to calling up. And then if you want to read the rest of the report, to read about these different prospects, their sales and all that stuff, please go on to 137pm.com. It'd take us probably 20 minutes to talk through all these guys. But there are guys in here like Jackson Holiday, the second auto, like that Josue de Paula guy I talked about that Nate writes about in their updated sales. So please
Jackson Holiday's second auto is out of 50s doing 2,500.
Yeah, isn't that insane?
That seems.
And I'm sure it's going to drop. Really, right, I'm sure it's going to drop. So that's just an initial sale right after release. Second tier or second year auto should not sell for that much. No. Matt Mervis, though, really at the last point here for baseball, he just got called up to the Cubs. 25-year-old rookie now, first base. That's a year after Pete Alonso debuted, and Pete Alonso already had 53 home runs by the time he's 25. His cards are selling for, in my estimation and Nate's estimation, too much money. However, passionate fan base doesn't really have, well, now they're doing okay, but didn't have a lot to cheer for the last couple of years, the Cubs. So,
well, they stink. They're still going to stink whether or not he's on the team, right?
I think that they're doing better than you might think this year. So, as a Brewers fan, I've been tracking it, but they were basically like,
I thought they weren't that great. I mean, they're 15 and 16. They're not that bad.
Oh, actually, they're below 500 now. Okay,
they're better than I thought and worse than you thought. So
they're 3-7 over the last 10, but also we are 3-7 over our last 10 after losing like all of our players to injury. We had a ridiculously hot start. Now we're stumbling, which stinks.
Yeah, the Astros suck too, bro. It's over.
Really?
It's early. I'm not going to say anything. It's May 5th, so I'm
like 500.
No, they're going to win the division, obviously, but like I'm talking about winning this World Series and everything.
Yeah, so you're not talking like a 100 win team this year?
Yeah, we'll be like a 93 win team.
Dude, that's like our best season ever.
well, when you're a perennial champion, you expect more.
Standards, right?
Standards reset a little bit. But wait, Matt Mervis is pretty much Max Muncy, right? That's kind of what I've been thinking of him as.
Well, I started thinking of him as Pete Alonso, but I'm also not.
That's another one.
I'm not the guru here compared to Nate, but all I know is that his base auto raw pretty much sells for the same as Pete Alonso's PSN9 base auto. I think it tells you all you have to know is that Matt Mervis would have to be very, very good to have his cards as a first baseman go up in value right now.
Have to be a 3-time home run derby champ and like on a competing baseball team.
Basically. All right, moving on.
Oh, Forrest Whitley's getting called up, just so you know. I'm gonna say that right now.
Wait, is this the first time ever?
So this is not official, but he just got scratched from a start, and they just called somebody else up. So I think people are thinking that they'll be getting.
Did he ever make his MLB debut?
I want to say no, but I don't want to be that guy. I think he might.
I don't think he. I don't think he did. Do you know that he was the first prospect that I really went big on? Do you know that?
I did not know that. He has not made his MLB debut yet.
Lou, back in 2017, when Nate and I started talking prospects regularly,
I remember us talking about him.
I bought 75 Bowman Chrome autographs of this guy, like a ton. They were like $5 to $10 per card. Gas. No, and then I think it was right after I sold like 90% of them, he got busted for that that drug test or whatever. I think it was for like Adderall or something like that, and whatever it was, I don't know what it was.
I don't know what it was either.
But the point is that he ended up getting like suspended for the rest of the season, I think, and then his card just tanked. I already sold nearly all of them by that point.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, and this is again, if you don't care about prospects, you don't care about this at all. But he's one of those guys who was wasn't he like a top 5 prospect?
He was top 5. He was the best pitcher in the minors,
and he still throws. He just missed a whole year of his career, and COVID happened, so like 2 years went by that we didn't hear anything from him.
Yeah.
Now he's like 25, I want to say.
And he is 25 now.
Throwing gas. So he's going to make his debut.
He's dominating, at least from his ERA, not really, but from like the...
Hunter Brown's pitching good too. And they just call up JP Francis, who's like their other pitching prospect. So they have Hunter Brown, JP Francis, and Whitley in the rotation.
I can't believe that Whitley never made his debut on all this time. Like I said, no, he missed.
I know, it's crazy, right?
That's insane. I just
there was no room for him before. That was the other part.
Yeah, I just thought the other day about. I'm like, dude, is he like? Did he ever play again? But that's funny. He got brought up in the minors. Yeah, he's really the guy. I'd say I launched Nate and I into this, big time from like a time perspective and money perspective from spending more because like he gave me confidence. This is what happened. Really, last thing, Nate's like, hey, you should either buy both Raul Acuna Jr. or Forrest Whitley. Acuna Jr.'s base autos were $90 at the time. Like that's way too expensive. And Whitley's were 10. Now it turned out really well for me anyways. Like Whitley's cards went up in value a lot because he ended up becoming a top 5 prospect. But yeah, hilarious to think that those were the 2 guys I was given an option on to buy. All right.
That's very funny. Man, that's crazy. I hope I'm not wrong about that and I just jinxed him, but I hope he gets called up. Football draft report.
Yeah, football draft. Okay, so everyone knows who got picked first and second and fourth. Bryce Young, Stroud, Anthony Richardson. They all had superfractors to sell around the draft time. If you scroll down a little bit, we had a Kahuna auto of Anthony Richardson sold for $2,800. This actually is from the Bowman University set, and this was sold by one of our good friends, Shane from Indie Card Collector. Almost the Indie Card Exchange, but Indie Card Collector. Great sale there for him. Bryce Young, 52 or whatever the Bowman set was, 52 or 50, whatever Bowman that is. Football, I'm not a Bowman football guy. But $3,000 on that superfractor and then $2,500 on the unlicensed, non-licensed 2021 CJ Stroud first Bowman superfractor. So literally, people are throwing around big money for these superfractors. In college jerseys are not licensed at all. And Lou, any reaction to the draft? Like, it doesn't even have to do with these guys, but
I mean, to me, these three quarterbacks, the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks, are all pretty big question marks in my opinion. So I would be nervous spending money on any of these guys right now. I think my money is better spent on somebody like a JSN. But I don't know. I don't know how to feel about these cards. Like $3,000 for a sticker superfractor is just, I don't see it.
from a design perspective, I really love that Bryce Young, but from like a dollar spent on a perspective, I agree with you. But I would rather spend the $3,000, I think, on one of the autographs than the CJ Stroud non-licensed, even though
that's for sure. That's not even a question.
Even though it is the first Bowman, technically, like I can't get down with some non-licensed cards, and I'm glad that they went licensed this year and going forward. Because they look a lot better. Like that Bryce Young is sick with the Alabama logo on the bottom and the vintage design. It's a sick card. Yeah. So then the other thing I'd point out about this draft class is like, while I agree with you, there is question marks around these quarterbacks compared to like, when you had the Burrow, the Herbert, the Hurts, you kind of felt like that those guys were for sure going to make it, or at least make it in some regard. This draft class, I think, will be extremely hyped from a product standpoint for football, because right now the 2022 releases, I mean, I don't know anyone that really cares about those releases that are coming out. There's barely any talk.
The Jets fans do. That's it.
Okay, yeah, yes, I agree. I'm talking about from like a quarterback standpoint. Yes. Though, like, yeah, maybe you can get a Brock Purdy card, but is he even going to be starting for the Niners? Who knows? He'll starting, I guess, but he could get hurt, and then Lance. You never know. So like this, I think that there will be a lot of pent up demand for football card products come when these 2023 guys are releasing, and could see the products extremely hyped because of that. And then, of course, the last thing about the draft and the trade actually did go through was the Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. And Lou, initial reaction.
Finally happen.
Are you hyped about this? Were you like, pumped up about this? Or are you like, whatever?
I think where we land, you and I, when we were texting about it was more than I thought and less than you thought, compensation wise.
Well, I think that it was more than I thought we were it was more than I thought we were going to get.
Oh, interesting.
I didn't think we were going to get that much, because all the talk from all the media was, we're not even going to get the second round this year, yada, yada. But intriguing. I don't know.
I originally thought we would give away less than this, but we gave away more. Long story short, I don't care. The Jets have Aaron Rodgers now, so I'm happy. He's at practice. He's at the Knicks game. He's at the Rangers game. It's him, Jessica Alba, and Sauce hanging out.
It's all facade, bro. It's all facade. I'm telling you.
I don't care. It's a great facade. It's the best facade I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm going to ride this until the wheels fall off.
Speaking of wheels falling off, what's your prediction for this season? Like, do you actually think the Jets will win the division?
I think there's a very good chance we win the division.
Okay.
So I'll say my optimistic perspective is 12-4. My conservative, or 12-5. My conservative prediction is 10-7.
Okay. 10-7, I think, would be a big flop.
A big flop? We just got to get in the... Who cares? We have to just get in the playoffs. It doesn't matter.
See, that's the thing to me, is like the standards are so low if you're just trading for Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
The standards are so low.
We can't lose. Unless it's a complete nightmare, we can't lose.
To me, and you, I don't know if you've looked into this at all. To me, this roster for the Jets, the defense is better for sure than 2 years ago on the Packers. It's better than the Packers defense 2 years ago, the Jets defense.
And last year.
Well, I'm not talking about last year, because Rodgers' thumb was broken, and clearly we were worse last year. But 2 years ago, when he was actually like an MVP, your defense is better. Your weapons are not better. I'm sorry. Aaron Jones at running back and Devontae Adams at receiver is better than what you have right now. And you also have all of the other backups that we used to have. They're all now older too. And then the offensive line.
All the backups, do you mean like Randall Cobb
and Alan Lazard? Lazard's not good. I'm sorry.
Alan Lazard was the best receiver on the market this offseason.
Lazard's not good. He's not
good.
That's
fine. He's still the best receiver on the market.
Doesn't mean the receivers are good. I mean, we had Adams and Lazard when Lazard was younger and better, and Adams was the best receiver in football at the time.
I don't disagree, but some people are saying that Garrett Wilson isn't exactly like Devontae Adams. The person people saying that are named Aaron Rodgers.
Our offensive line is definitely better than what yours is right now. I'm very scared.
No one knows how good an offensive line is going to be, Aaron. If you're going to tell me that you know what makes a good offensive line, I'm going to hang up the call. You don't know what makes a good offensive line.
I don't know what makes a good offensive line.
Okay, so then what are you talking about?
I do know that what ours was
Stupid
better than
Packers
what
fans.
yours is. My point, all this being said, is that I don't think your team is that much better than what our team was 2 years ago. And Aaron Rodgers is 2 years older with a with a worse. Well, I mean, his thumb's probably healed by now, but he had a broken thumb last year. So all I'm saying is that
I don't disagree with you. I think we're around the same as the 2021 Packers. Maybe you guys are a little bit more talented weapon wise on offense.
Yeah.
But the part that's weighing that down is much happier Aaron, healthy Aaron, and in New York City with something to prove.
Okay, so yeah, I guess my point is that while I think that the playoffs is very realistic and winning the division is also maybe a realistic option, I think that there's some people out there, maybe not you, but other Jets fans who are like, we're winning the Super Bowl like Jay.
Well, that's what people are going to do. To be clear, I will get in that mode soon enough. Give me a couple weeks. It's May 5th. I need a little bit of time, but like, I don't know, man. I think it's get to the playoffs and you figure the rest of it out later.
It's the hope that kills you. I'll tell you that from experience. So just prepare yourself.
But is that not fair? Like, you don't know what's going to happen during a season. I need to do is get into the playoffs. The Jets, my life, the only happiness I've ever had was based on the Jets accidentally getting in the playoffs, literally accidentally getting in the playoffs and making a run to the AFC Championship game. So that's how I think of these things.
You're right. And I'm not trying to rain on your parade.
Fun.
I'm just coming from you from a Packers perspective, being deflated for the last 3 seasons by Rodgers.
Does it make you sad how happy he looks?
I think it's all fake. I think
it's fake. I don't think it's fake. I think he's kind of rubbing. I think he's definitely giving it to you guys a little bit, but I don't think it's fake.
All I know is that Jordan Love's going to win MVP this year and next year and the year after that.
Tyler thinks that Sean Clifford's going to be playing this year, so.
No, that's not happening. I'm sorry, but Sean Clifford's not playing over Jordan Love. That's not happening. Jordan Love sat underneath Rodgers for 3 seasons. He's gonna.
Jay, that's a clip.
I think he's going to be solid. And yeah, Jay is about to expose me like crazy, even chirping me as Aaron No Clue right now.
All right, let's keep going.
Yeah, let's keep moving. I had to give that some time. But here's the deal. The Rodgers, Love, and Wilson markets all dropped. Wilson is obvious, I think. But Rodgers and Love, it's like they had their time in the sun in March when the Pat McAfee thing went down. People get excited about these guys. You know, Rodgers going to a new team, Love getting the starting job. I think that was pretty clear then. April, even if a trade was found, solidifying the trade meant nothing. Everyone knew it was going to happen at some point. So the spike in their cards happened in March. So it's not a surprise to me that their cards, dropped, the base PSA 10s and stuff like that.
To be expected.
Yeah, exactly. To be expected. And then I don't really want to spend a lot of time on this, but yeah, big extensions here for Hurts and Lamar Jackson. Now the 2 highest paid quarterbacks in football per year wise, which is crazy. Sorry,
of all time.
Yeah. I mean, which is crazy is like you have Mahomes that signs that mega deal, which is like big security, lots of money, biggest total deal, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know for sure on that, but either way, and then it's like, oh well, 2 years later, Hurts is now higher paid, and Lamar Jackson's not higher paid. It's just like that's how it constantly goes with the NFL cap stuff. The revenue keeps on growing. I'm sure a lot thanks to the new sports betting stuff too helping in the last couple of years. And these contracts are just getting crazy.
Yeah, I mean, NFL contracts are out of control, but like it's just about when you come up, right? Like I'm trying to think of who's a guy who's going to be. I mean, like if Tua keeps playing, Tua's going to get a pretty big contract.
Well, I mean, Daniel Jones was like wanting to sign like a $40 million deal, which would seem psycho like 3 years ago.
It's all relative, dude. The money thing, I've given up on the money thing a long time ago. I mean, it's the leagues make a good $1 trillion, so the player should get 40 million. Like I don't know,
Yeah, it's crazy. So it's just wild. All right, moving on from football into some basketball. Yeah, number 1 seeds in the playoffs, at least from Bucks and Bruins perspectives, not too good. Bucks took an L. We talked about that at the beginning. Don't have to spend any more time on that. I didn't go.
What do you think about Giannis's speech?
No, I did go to the games. I'm kidding. But from Giannis's speech perspective, I agree with what he's saying. I think like that it would have been okay for him to admit like this playoff journey specifically was a failure. Like we didn't win the finals. Like that was a failure. But I agree from the perspective of like, in a lot of regards, you're going to have to fail and lose to then end up winning at some point. And that happened with Giannis early in his career, happened with Jordan, happened with LeBron. I think that he was coming out from a perspective of like looking at the season in total. Like Drew Holiday has had the best year of his career. Yes, he had a terrible series against the Heat, but does that like erase his entire career year? In my opinion, no. I agree. It's disappointing to be left like that. I don't think that the whole failure. I don't know. I think it got blown out of proportion bigger than what it is in both scenarios. I don't really have like too many thoughts on it, to be completely honest.
Fair enough. You love Giannis, so you would never say
Well,
anything bad
yeah,
about him.
you thought it was dumb. You think that he should have sat there and said, "Yeah, we failed bad."
I don't know. It just seems like a little bit of a cop out. Like LeBron had his thing like 5 or 6 years ago about like I'm still going to go back to my house and be happy or whatever. That's pretty much the exact same thing that Giannis said, and Giannis gets a pass. It's very interesting to me.
I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying, but I don't know if Giannis got passed. I think a lot of people were giving him some smoke too, though.
Fair enough.
Maybe not like I think that it depends on who you're talking about. Is it big media or is it fans? Like I don't think fans like I feel like big media was kind of like, oh yeah, such a nice guy type of thing,
Right. That's what I'm talking
That's
about.
what you're talking about. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's my guy, so I'm not gonna say anything bad.
Yeah, I get it.
But yeah,
He is your guy.
his market's dropping as expected. Anytime that you got championship aspirations and get eliminated in the first round, there's no way your prices are going to hold up the rest of the playoffs. So his cards are dropping. Butler's up, Harden's up after his big shot against the Celtics. Although the Celtics smacked them the other night, like literally smacked them silly with Embiid coming back. How funny is it? Embiid gets named MVP. They win the game without him playing, and then he comes back and plays, and then they lose it.
So crazy, man. Same thing yesterday with the Lakers game too. I don't know if you have anything about the Lakers and Warriors in here. We could save it, but how can the Lakers have that game one and then come back and just get dominated in game two? The NBA is crazy to me.
Well, I think the Warriors, if they didn't lose that first game, they had a good chance to win in 4 or 5. I
don't disagree.
I think the Warriors still will win the series. I think they'll for sure win 1 in LA, and then worst case scenario, win in 7 at home. Steph Curry is honestly amazing. Every year,
The best.
Year in and year out, it doesn't matter. He's getting it done. He's making big shots when it matters now. I know that when Durant was over there, Durant was winning the MVPs, but Curry has really proved that he can be that guy in the last couple of years. In my opinion, I know a lot of people will try to say, he didn't win MVP for the finals when Durant was there. But either way, I think that he is that guy, and he's just amazing, man. But yeah, the Lakers are a very confusing team. Maybe the most confusing in the playoffs from like on their best night
to night. Yeah. The variance is crazy to me.
Their best night.
They take nights off in the playoffs. I've never seen anything like it.
Well, Anthony Davis was 5 for 10 last night for like 10 points or something like that.
I think he was just too tired because he had 30 and 20 the night before or whatever.
Yeah, so like that's the problem too. Where like I know that everyone like sometimes AD comes back from injury, has like an insane 10-game stretch, and it's like, is he the most talented player in the NBA? It's like, well, that's not going to last more than like 10 games, or in the playoffs, one game, and then it'll be trashed. And then, so I mean, it's a very confusing team to say the least. Probably also the most.
100%. Sidebar: I was laughing to myself reading this little breakdown of the prices here because I saw Giannis at 83 and I saw Jimmy Butler at 197. Obviously, it's a population issue, but
well, also a hoops-based rookie.
Yeah, fair enough. There's also like double the amount of hoops that there are of the Prism, so
yeah,
just funny to me.
Well, I mean, yeah, but if you look at Giannis's Prism, it's like $1,000 probably for a PSA 10.
Is that what the Giannis Prism is doing now?
It's probably around 1,000. I don't know. Let me look to make sure, but let's just say a lot less than it ever used to sell for. Although at one point they were like $10 cards or less. Yeah, it's $980 was the last sale.
$980.
Remember these
40, I see one.
These cards were $10 to $25 at one point.
Yep. All right, keep going.
Yeah, just have some other things about the Western Conference playoffs and such. Don't really need to ride home any of the points too big here. I talked about the Lakers, and we can move on to the NHL playoffs now. I don't know how much you're paying attention to it. Obviously, you had your little screw up on the.
Well, I embarrassed myself on Card Talk this week, so obviously not close enough.
Not close enough. Matthew Tkachuk is going off, to say the least. And I had some nice cards of Matthew Tkachuk, which I ended up selling at one point. I think it was like some platinum gold seismic rookies. And he's balling out. Beat the Bruins, now up 2-0 on the Leafs. That's big for his cards. Pasternak gets eliminated while he still had a 60-plus goal season. Best regular season of all time from a team perspective. Yeah, his cards are trending down for obvious reasons. And then I don't even know how to say this guy's name. Roop Hintz. Honestly, I did not hear about him before this playoffs. It's a 2018 Young Guns rookie. This guy led the playoffs in points through round 1. He had 12 in 6 games.
Really?
Yes, and he's like 26 years old or something like that.
He's Finnish.
His cards doubled up to 100 as Young Guns PSA 10 by the end of April.
Really?
Yep. And then the Kraken, in my opinion, are one of the biggest storylines too. First time in the playoffs ever, second year of their franchise ever. They beat the defending champs on the road in Game 7. And then they started off the series with a win against the Stars, but the Stars evened up last night. So we'll see what happens there. And I'm cheering for Edmonton, although They did lose game 1 against the Knights, I believe, but I would really like to see. And now it's looking very unlikely. Like the Maple Leafs and Oilers in a Stanley Cup Finals would be an unbelievable matchup for hype, fandom, and all that stuff. Like those are two of the biggest franchises in the NHL. However, how fun would it be to get like a Kraken Florida Panthers Finals?
See, yeah, I mean, like as a person who isn't that locked in on the sport, I obviously understand why. Even like, yeah, like Oilers Leafs would be insane.
Yeah, that would be a nuts matchup. Like from like
Yeah,
a like
even Devils Oilers would be fun. But I like the randomness of it.
like Kraken and Panthers would be so crazy. Both of them are wild card teams, and then you could end up with something like, in my opinion, one of the more lackluster matchups would be like the Stars and the Hurricanes from like it's
Man,
not
I'm
like
just trying to think about the idea of a Seattle and Florida final that, like, respectfully to everyone involved, not that many people are going to see, and you got to travel across the country constantly.
literally
That'd be
on the opposite
crazy.
points, diagonal.
That would be
That'd be insane.
wild.
Yeah. All right, keep moving through this. And then I just talked. Oh, and then wait, where do you fall in the Rangers and Devils? I don't know where card talk falls. Like you and Tyler, Rangers, right? Both of you.
Yeah. So what happened was, Jay had a parlay for the Knicks and the Rangers to win or the Knicks and the Devils to win their series, and so I took that as an opportunity to create the opposite parlay, and I lost both of those, so that was tough. So the way it worked out was Jay won because Jay was a Devils guy, and me, Tyler, and Ryan were all Rangers people.
I see. I'm a Rangers guy too, with Keandre Miller being
That's your guy.
from UW Madison. Yeah,
They just weren't good enough, man. Like that was the one series I actually watched. They seemed slower. Like they just weren't good.
The front line is a little old.
Yeah, they felt a little bit old. That's a good way to put it. I hadn't thought of that.
Devils have youth on them, and Rangers do have some youth, but a lot of it is more so like hidden. I'd say it's not, like the top guys with Kane and Tarasenko and Zibanejad and Kreider and stuff like that. Those guys are older, so they're going to have to get their youth movement going here pretty soon, and definitely need to re-sign Keandre Miller this offseason. Restricted free agents, so 23 years old for him, and Fox is young too, so they have good defenders. Also, they just blew it, man. They're up 2-0 after winning 2 on the road. How do you blow that series?
Crazy.
I think the Bucks might have done that at one point too, actually, against the Raptors. All right, last thing for today's report.
My favorite thing ever.
The SlabStox 100 refresh. We are finally there. We decided to wait through the first quarter of the year to gather some data, let people see us in the different market reports, and then send out our first surveys. Here's how it went down. So at the end of April, with about 2 weeks left, we started sending out surveys. The first round of surveys was a more open-end survey where we had people select. We showed them all the different cards in the SlabStox 100. And for each sport, it was like, hey, pick up to 3 that you don't think should be in the SlabStox 100 per sport. We gathered the top per sport, and then we asked people to recommend nominations that aren't in the SlabStox 100 that should be in there. Mm-hmm. What we did in a final survey was we put up the De'Aaron Fox Silver PSA 10 here. We said, do you think this should be in the SlabStox 100? If it had 67% of a vote, yes or more, we were going to add it. So the Fox did have more than 67%, so it got added. And then what happened was we had people at the same time say, if you voted yes for Fox, which card would you want to remove? And then we had all the different cards that people could choose to remove based on what they were picking in the first survey. So that's probably confusing. You might need to slow that down or rewind it if you want to rehear that. However, the results are this. I just want to explain it just so people understand. But the results are this. De'Aaron Fox Silver PSA 10 added, which did not surprise me at all. He should have been in it from the first place probably, but he had an amazing year this year, and he is now in the SlabStox 100 as one of the 25 basketball cards. Fernando Tatis Jr. actually got recommended multiple times and voted in at the highest percent of any of these 3 cards. It was like 81% said yes. Put
people
Fernando
love this
Tatis.
guy, man.
Yeah, I know. They love the villain attitude now, right? Bowman Chrome Auto 9510 made it into this SX 100, which I honestly thought would not make it because of the whole steroid things. I thought people would make no, right? Like, and it just surprised me. And then you've got Travis Kelce, Topps Chrome PSA 10 tight end right there, which I think, he probably should have been in from the start too, right? He's like one of the best, honestly, players in NFL history for the position.
Well, he kind of solidified himself in the last 6 months.
That is true. I mean, a lot of this was launched, 4 months ago, so before this last Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So if you scroll down here, what you're going to see is the cards that got removed. So Removed was Pascal Siakam, silver PSA 10. I think the Raptors really flopped this year, and that makes sense to not have him in there. Like, not a lot of people care about the Raptors right now. Sorry if you're a Raptors fan from Toronto. Nick Chubb, base PSA 10. We started this by choosing 5 running backs and 5 receivers to fill out the other 25 or the other 10 spots in the 25 card football section. 15 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 5 receivers. Obviously, once we put up for a vote, it's open ended. The community can decide what goes in, what goes out. So Travis Kelce dominated that vote. 81% also said for Travis Kelce to go into the Essex 100, and the majority vote was for Nick Chubb. The other players that were up for removal in football was Kirk Cousins, Contenders Auto, and Daniel Jones, Prism Silver PSA 10. People chose the Chubb base PSA 10, which doesn't surprise me, but I think that Cousins is probably the next out the door in the next round of voting, just because, I think a lot of people don't really care about Kirk, and I definitely don't. And then, Lou, this is an interesting one for you. So Tatis obviously got voted in. Austin Riley got voted out, who was one of the MVP candidates last year in the NL. And the other 2 cards that the vote was against was Jason Dominguez and Freddie Freeman. And Jason Dominguez ended up with 36% of the majority vote, but Austin Riley literally had maybe like 2 more votes than him. So, and then Freddie Freeman was quite safe compared to those 2. Obviously, already won an MVP. What are your thoughts on Austin Riley getting kicked out for Fernando Tatis over Jason Dominguez?
I think that's the right move, right? I feel like it worked out the way it was supposed to.
I think if this is a card market, like what people care about who collect cards, I can see why Jason Dominguez would stay in over Austin Riley. If this was obviously like, what are they doing in the MLB? It wouldn't be Jason Dominguez, but that's not what this index is. So it makes sense to me.
This index is about interest, and it's an indication of who people are thinking about on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Austin Riley, good player. Fernando Tatis is a significantly more popular player. Same thing with the football players, and definitely with the basketball player.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think Jimmy Butler will probably be the next one up to get voted into the Essex 100 because I don't think he's in there right now. So I can definitely see him getting voted in after the season ends. And we'll see what happens with football and baseball for sure going forward. Now, the one thing to point out, if you scroll down here, I was shocked by this, and maybe just not enough people know about hockey, honestly, who were taking part in the survey. There's a good sample size. David Pastrnak was the only card to get rejected and not be added that was put up as a nomination. And 48% voted yes to be added, but it needed 67% or higher. In my opinion, this should have been 100% yes, right? Like this was going up against Kirill Kaprizov, Nathan McKinnon, and Jason Robertson. So 2 young guys, McKinnon, who matters a lot in my opinion and probably should stay in the index, and he did. And then David Pastrnak, who had over 60 goals this year, only other player other than McDavid. And it's a low pop Young Guns PSA 10. I assume that will get renominated again in 3 months. And I assume that if people listen to this and go sign up for the SlabStox.com daily slab newsletter and you watch the survey, you will probably vote for him because, in my opinion, if it's an executive decision, he would be in here, and probably Kaprizov would be out after a bad playoffs and injured season. Robertson's at least still kicking in the playoffs right now. But
so were there less votes for the hockey stuff?
No, I mean you were required to vote for the hockey. You were required.
And he didn't get in.
He didn't get in.
This is a little bit of a snub.
That's a massive snub, in my opinion. It's a massive snub. Like it's shocking, honestly. So if you're voting in the survey, I say that you go back in 3 months when we send this next one out, and you vote for David Pastrnak to go in. But yeah,
that's crazy. I'm surprised by that.
And also I want to point out that there is a other section of this newsletter. And there's also a soccer section, and neither of those 2 sports or others, which would be like F1 and golf, got enough votes or nominations to have any sort of meaningful data come out of it. So if you are someone who's like, oh, I love soccer, or I love other category like F1, and this can even include random other things, make sure to sign up for the survey like tennis as well, because we'd like to see some movement there. I'm sure someone like Landon Norris will be voted out in Q3 update. Because that season's going terribly, and would love to see something else get added in instead. So please sign up for the survey and give some nominations for other categories.
Max Verstappen.
I know. Miami's this weekend, bro, but the hype is so small for it right now. Like you wouldn't even know Miami's this weekend if you didn't actually like F1. Last year, everyone
honestly so down. Keep going.
I was just gonna say everyone last year knew that Miami was coming up, the first U.S. Grand Prix of the year. I think that I barely see anything on it, and I follow F1 closely.
Well, the crazy part is I think they're more in like the mainstream sports thing right now. Like every content creator on earth is down there. They sent everybody down there. They got everybody doing interviews with all the drivers, all that stuff. So it's out there.
Yeah,
I think it's just not as exciting because guess what's going to happen? Max is going to win by 5 laps.
Well, to be fair, Max and Sergio Perez have split the races this year.
Red Bull's going to win by 5 laps.
There you go.
So the only interesting thing is George going to bump Max again and cause a little problem? And at what point do Checo and Max start fighting with each other?
Right. I agree. I got to say that at the very least, I hope we see Checo and Max having like some drama this year, because then you get the Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton like 5 years ago situation or 7 years ago situation where like it might actually create for some drama, but it's still, last race was so bad. I don't know if anyone watched the Baku Grand Prix. Is terrible.
It would create some drama, and my scenario that I created in my head where Lando goes to Red Bull has a possibility of coming true.
That is true. I called you crazy, I think, for that the last couple episodes.
Same.
All right, everyone. Well, that is what we got for this report. There's a take 5, and then there's also a upcoming products and shows that you can go check out. If you go read the article at 137pm.com, you can get all that information. Some cool shows coming up, and then also from a product standpoint, let me see if there's one I can point out really quickly that will be one to watch for. It looks like Flawless Basketball is finally coming out at the end of May. That is for Kate Cunningham rookie cards. Also, I think there's going to be some cool news coming out on 2023 Bowman University Inception. That is a TBA launch to be announced. So stay tuned for that. I think that there will be some cool news coming out on that product.
It sounds like you know something that you're not telling the people. That's what that sounds like to me. I don't know the answer either, so you're not telling me either.
I think there'll be some cool news. I hope that there's some cool news.
What do you think about this right here?
I was going to say, do you have those on hand?
Yes, dude. Yes. My favorite purchases I've made in quite some time. All right, Aaron, thank you as always. Yes, thank you, Nate. Thank you to the entire SlabStox team for all the hard work. As always, it's greatly appreciated. If you made it this far, please check out the full report on 137pm.com. Please like this video on YouTube, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will see you next time. Peace and love.
Appreciate it, everyone.